Welcome to the show. Bass and Bonsai in the house for another Fireball Friday night. And if you're new to the channel, this is the first time watching it, you're in for a treat. We've got the best chatterbait and spinnerbait trailers on the planet right here, right now. Well, maybe not, but our favorites anyway. So there's a few things I want to talk about tonight. And as some of you start joining in, you guys know the deal. I always jump ahead before anybody's even starting to watch on a live stream. Hopefully a lot of you guys join in. It's a little later than normal. I did a unboxing earlier today. We unboxed some of our new baits. Will they become our favorite trailers or will they fall to the wayside? I'll show you some of them I've already rigged up and how I rigged them up and why I rigged them up. If you're new to the channel, you'll kind of understand why. So anyway, oh yeah, I got a new hoodie. This isn't the one that I lost at Charles's. This is a brand new hoodie. Bright black and gray camo. They can't see me coming. We're going to also talk about the pink color. What is it? Why is it? And how is it? So, first of all, if you guys are like me, you probably watch other YouTubers doing fishing videos and stuff like that. Oh yeah, we got to do our little frog if you didn't watch the unboxing. I don't know if Z-Man would... I honestly wish Z-Man would kind of recycle through everything they've done in a chatterbait, just in a little limited run thing. Because I think a lot of people don't realize like all the different things that have changed and come through right down the pipeline through Z-Man or, you know, other companies also. But pretty exciting stuff. But anyway, just today, Tactical Bassin dropped a top 10 chatterbait trailers. And if you guys follow the channel, you know I've been planning this video, like getting these trailers in and talking about them, because this is kind of the year to, you know, refine our chatterbait game even more so, you know, kind of like refine your fishing game, you know, each year. Like you want to try to get a little better and a little better. Basically, I'm not a tournament fisherman, but for the fun factor, right? Get, you know, add some more fun, excitement to your fishing by getting a little more refined in your baits, your gear, that sort of stuff. So this was kind of your, plus I was bored. We ordered a lot of different stuff. I mean, you can only, like, you can go out with half ounce, like I've talked about before. You can take half ounce, just pick a chatterbait, pick a spinnerbait, pick a rattle trap, pick a jerkbait, quarter ounce or up 3/8 up to a half ounce, rig up a Texas rig, stick worms, zinkers, or the Cinco. And really, you don't need much else. Maybe Berkeley 7 or 10 inch power bait worm. I mean, it doesn't take a lot to go out and you can just catch fish with those and just repeat, you know, right? Rinse off and repeat and just keep catching fish. But we all like to change things. Even if we're not a tournament fisherman, we like to know what. It's just, some baits are just fun to throw, right? Not deep diving crankbaits and not a Carolina rig, but some baits are just fun to throw too. So let's just jump in with, first of all, I'll get to the pink baits, but let's talk about what happened. If you watch the unboxing, if not, go back and watch it. For years and years and, well, a couple years, I evolved into this bait up until this year. This was my favorite bait to throw on the back and then throw a chatterbait. The main reason, it lets a bait still have that hunting. The chatterbait lets it jump around, yet it still has some kicking to it. It's kind of like the best of both worlds. You hear a lot of people talking about, well, it's all about the profile, and it's all about you don't want to affect the chatterbait blade and this and that. Like, so this bait just barely rigged on. So you put on a standard chatterbait, but you don't go all the way on. You leave it to where it just hangs past the, where the skirt just stops right about here. So you don't feed it all the way on. You can do bigger baits, like I've seen, you know, guys use just regular grubs. This is really, I guess they call it a twin tail grub, basically. But after evolving into this, I'm like, man, this thing, because it just gets bit. Like you put this on a black and blue or a darker chatterbait, or you put, you know, this on a green pumpkin chatterbait or Beehite Delight, any of that style stuff, any 3/8 is what I prefer, but or half-ounce chatterbait, and it just lets them jump around. This is, in my opinion, one of my favorite colors, and you can put it on a bluegill, a beehive delight, a green pumpkin, a lot of colors. It's just that green pumpkin, purple and gold flake from Strike King, and it just works. But then after watching and just hearing about people talk about all these other ones, and I'm not a huge fan of any of that pintail stuff. I'm not a stroller by any means. I want sort of a natural look, sort of a natural profile, and then movement, right? So after looking at these, and also looking at these, the Komodo smaller one for like the mini maxes, and the new Evo came out, and the Baby Jack, and you know, we've had the mini max for a few years now. In my opinion, these may be a better option than this, because this is kind of big for these smaller baits. It works, but you might want to cut them down. I'll talk about that too, how I cut them down. But then also, I've already fished this one in a cut down version of the swim on a 3/8 chatterbait, and I like them for that. They seem to be, they kind of have the best of both worlds. They give you a kind of a profile, like, is it a bluegill? Is it a crawdad? What is it? And yet it still jumps around. And that's why I've, you know, got several. If you watch the unboxing, we'll just run through a few of them. But I've basically ordered several of the different colors, from Big Bite Baits to Kamikaze Swim On, and then the Gambler Komodo Juniors. Now the swim, oh boy, oh God, hang on, time out. Fireball Fridays come to a halt. And I'll talk about what I found out. Since I've never really had these, Rogers had the purple ones in stock, but they all are typically just that color. There's not really a big difference. What I found out real quick was that these are not all created equal. Since there's like a swirl to it, the tails are going to be different colors. Some of them are bright orange, some of them are more of a red, if you can see in there. I hate touching, man. I don't want to touch all these things. Your hands get very slick. Look at my hands, they're already nasty. You just messed around down here earlier. So is that a plus or negative? I guess it depends on how you look at it. But I also seen that I'd ordered a couple different sizes, because I only had the 4.25, and I want to get the smaller ones to see if they'd also be good. You can put them on the bigger ones, but honestly, you're probably better off to get the full size ones and cut them down, like I'm getting ready to show you, for the full size chatterbaits. But the mini maxes and all those mini chatterbaits, you'll want to go with the Komodo Junior, and then the 3.75 Kamikaze Swim Ons, what I recommend. And I still cut them down. I'll show you that in a minute. And you can use other things. You know, you can use the Baby Rage Menace, and I may go right back to that. After the end of this year, you may see all those trailers go the wayside, and I just stick with what does for sure work and get bit. But these do sort of, I don't know, 3 to 5 to maybe 8 fish. Well, probably 3 to 5 fish, and you're probably going to lose that and have to switch baits. So something that works close to as good or as good and just lasts. So I was actually watching, I'll tell the story real quick. Tactical Bassins talked about these for the last, I don't know, several years probably. But it took me to watch one of the guys in the Monster Bass thing talking about using them, and the fact that he put one on his, whatever, I forget what chatterbait, and he fished it like all day. And so then I dove in a little bit more and watched a few more videos of guys talking about how durable they are. Like even on the these guys too talk about their durable plastic. Strike King, and what's funny is you can listen to Greg Hackney videos and he'll tell you, like, Strike King soft plastic gets bit. It's very soft though, like, and he thinks that's why it gets bit. Like, the softer the plastic, a lot of times the better. For whatever reason, it just gets bit. But like, it's not known for the durability. It's known, you know, the Rage stuff is known to get bit, but not as durable. So we're just trying different things this season, see how well they work, how well they don't, that kind of stuff. And I would like to thank everybody for joining in. Charles, that's a funny story. I'm going to tell this story real quick. So, and this is also, I keep putting videos out with chatterbaits because I can't believe there's still people. I was watching, who was I watching? Oh, I watched Tyler Reels Fishing talking about pink, and he was doing a testing, and I also want to comment on that. But then I was watching somebody else put a video out, and the guy's like, well, I stick with spinner. I think it was a spinnerbait versus chatterbait thing. He's like, I'm going to stick with spinnerbaits because I don't get, bit with the chatterbait. And I'm like, I didn't comment. I'm like, dude, you're doing it wrong. Chatterbaits will 100% catch fish. Almost anywhere a spinnerbait will. There's times when one's better than the other, and I'll talk about that briefly too. But fun fact, Charles, and I know he still remembers, back when I got back hooked up with Charles going fishing again, Charles was messing with me. Yeah, they just don't hit chatterbaits down here. I proceeded to go down there with chatterbaits and start catching fish. And so Charles has a few more chatterbaits in his arsenal. Now, I admit, Charles won't fish chatterbaits as much as me. But if you struggle with the chatterbait, you're doing it wrong. It's that simple. So I'll talk about when, for me, this is just me, not a professional, just a guy on a Fireball Friday night, telling you when I go from, where did it go? Oh my God, this guy. When I go from my chatterbaits to a spinnerbait, and I try to start chatterbaits, but a lot of times there are better options than a chatterbait. So in my opinion, a spinnerbait is your best option to imitate a fish. Your chatterbait is your best option to imitate a crawdad. Now I know, we switch them all around. One of my favorite chatterbait colors is actually spot remover, which I think is a perfect imitation of a crappie, right? So yeah, I get it. There's a little bit of crossover stuff, and the reason I say that is I think where spinnerbait is best is up in more open type water situations. Fish, when it's overcast, there's a chop on the water. They can't quite make it out, but a spinnerbait looks more like a little clump of some kind of fish, and there's a bigger one with the clump, and they attack it, right? A chatterbait looks like one thing, whether they're thinking it's a fish or whatever, and yes, the flash may attract them or sometimes may turn them off, but they're hitting at one thing to where I think a spinnerbait looks like a couple things. So I think there is why when you're in more open water, a spinnerbait, between the, let's call them all what they are, they're all bladed jigs except for a true chatterbait type bait. Out of the two, your better option in that more open stuff would be a spinnerbait. You always hear guys talking about chatterbaits, pull them through grass, pull them through this, pull them through that. A chatterbait is best tight to some kind of cover or the bottom of the body of water you're on. If you just have this thing out in plumb open water, it still will get hit. But I would think that a spinnerbait, from my experience, that's a better option to get hit. I should be holding up two baits that are maybe closer in color. Well, maybe not even that guy. So, in my opinion, and just in when I fish, a lot of it is the banks, how steep they are, and what they have on them. So, typically when something's flatter, there's more likely to be, whether it's grass, some sort of vegetation growing on the flatter banks, and that's when a chatterbait will kick in and work better than a spinnerbait, in my opinion. They'll all still work. But then when you get to that steeper bank, say it's like and it could be something where if it's the right conditions, you may be better off to run a rattle trap through there or a crankbait that's bouncing off the bottom. But a spinnerbait, you can probably run through it a little higher up in the water column on the steeper bank, a little away from the bank, more so than the chatterbait. You can run a chatterbait through there, but you're probably better off to be tied into the exact, the shallower the better, right up against the bank, or running a little deeper, maybe bouncing occasionally off the bottom, and you might be able to get that to get hit about as well as you would a spinnerbait. But the minute you're coming up to wood, this is your best option. We're hoping we can find a bait that is as a good option as a spinnerbait if you're sticking to the two. Now, your best bet is switch to a square bill. But I just like, once I'm looking at a bank, you can just tell how I don't know if you've heard a lot of people talked about it. Like it's almost every professional will tell you that. You can usually tell without even using a depth finder or any of that. If you're seeing this steeper wall, like a bluff wall is a perfect example, the straight wall, like straight down. That's probably going to be pretty deep right there, right when it starts, right? So, if I was going to run a spinnerbait or a chatterbait through there, it would be a spinnerbait. I'm taking the hard baits out of it, maybe even swim baits and that, just going off the, skirted type, bladed type jig stuff. Then when that bank, you can kind of tell it's like flat land and just runs off real slow into the water like a beach would kind of thing, that kind of look. And honestly, my honest opinion, that's when a chatterbait is probably better, because I think a chatterbait has ability to, so like, especially that's why I think it works better in grass. It has a more of a vibration, so they don't have to see it. They'll hear it, feel it coming from further away than they will a spinnerbait. I don't have scientific proof, but that's just my thoughts. So what I recommend, if you struggle with a chatterbait, first of all, make sure you're throwing it in the right prime conditions for it. But then also, a lot of people talk about, running it and burning it. I don't think that's the best way to get used to a chatterbait. And I recommend, just like they tell you, like you hear, and you hardly hear a lot of people talking about it with other baits, but the main one I hear them talking about it is with a jig. Whether it's a swim jig or just a jig in general, they're telling you tie it on and just go out and fish it. Like I've heard Gene Jensen, I don't know how many people, all the Mark Zona, Hackney, like anybody that's proficient in jigs will tell you tie it on, go out and just fish a jig. Now, not necessarily the same exact jig. You may want to go ahead and switch colors if you haven't had a bite in like an hour or a half hour, or you're impatient like me in 10 minutes, switch around colors or whatever. But fish a jig until you will figure it out if you just stick to one bait and go out and put some time on the water. But a very fast way to jump past all that is to know that if it's flat, if it's got some sort of grass on it, throw a chatterbait, and which is pretty good information. You'll hear a lot of people talking about like a green, just a neutral, like a sort of a natural looking color is probably your best bet. But honestly, throw the jig. If I was fishing and wanted to learn with the chatterbait, you just need to know a couple things in my opinion, for a color to start with. Because where are they at? I think one of the best colors to probably start with, if you have no idea what to start with, is any brand that has a similar color to a spot remover. So if you don't want to mess with the knockoffs or wait around for a knockoff, you want to go to Bass Pro or wherever somebody fast and get one. Get a spot remover, and I recommend actually the smaller one, which is I recommend a 3/8 spot remover over a 1/2 ounce, because it's going to have the ability to go shallower, slower, yet you can cast it out, let it sink to the bottom, and then just start. You just want to go just as fast enough that you can feel the blade working, and then about every 3 to 5 reel cranks, you just want to give it a quick reel crank and then just slow back down. And you can, when you do that reel crank, you can twitch your rod too at the same time, just to give it a real hard snap, almost like you would a jerk bait, but you keep it on the tight line, and you can slack it up or whatever, and then get it back going again though fairly quick. But it gives an erratic jump, almost like if you were pulling it out of grass, but you're not. And just like I said, 3 to 5 slow handle turns, and then just get and it will jump around if you got the right trailer on. It may jump a little with whatever trailer you have. Always put a trailer on it. And what I recommend is something what I call like streamlined, right? Like very narrow, not real big. And I recommend only sticking about an inch to no more than an inch and a half beyond. Now, if you're just wanting to slap on and give it a big profile, but if you're just wanting to learn, I say the smaller, the more compact, the more chance of getting bites. You're not out looking for big bites. You're just looking to get some confidence with a chatterbait. So start with, and if you already decided to buy, you want to get mini max, you can do the same thing with the mini max, the Evo, the baby jack, if that's what you decided. Same principle, get a smaller streamline. You can use the Kamado Juniors, swim-ons, or if you've got some Baby Rage Menace laying around. Now you don't want to rig that color up. But on this bait right here, you'll want to use, actually I'm going to, at some point, I'm going to rig up one of these, what I would recommend as of right now, because I think it's a very good color. Let me see. I just haven't rigged one up yet. Well, I've rigged one up on this bait we'll talk about in a minute. But this spot remover, these right here, but you're going to want to cut it down. The Kamikaze Swim On and the Chick Magnet Swirl, a lot of those tails are kind of whitish with that, and they've also got that, I don't know if you call that green pumpkin, but they do have the gold and purple flake in them, and that will make an excellent, I'll show you on this one, that would make an excellent trailer. And you're going to go out there, if you're anywhere around where it's known to be loaded, there's a lot of crappie fishermen, they talk about how good the crappie fishing is. You can't go wrong with the spot remover. Now if you know they're 100%, there's bluegill, like man, places loaded with bluegill, then of course go with the bluegill. Now you can go with the actual bluegill, or you can go with these brim, different ones that basically they're a blue copy of a bluegill type look, right? Same thing there though, either the Swim On or one of these, appropriate color. If you're, your water better than I do. If it's fairly clear, stick with the more, I think they just have a green pumpkin. This is, what is this color? This is green pumpkin chartreuse swirl, but for most of the water I fish, that'll be okay. Or, just put that actual Baby Rage Menace right there on this bait would be a good one. And fairly, it doesn't have to be clear water, but clear water to, a couple foot visibility. If you get anything lower than that, you just want to go bright. Like if I was in a couple foot or less visibility, or this time of year period, that color right there is hard to beat. This thing stands out, and now's the time really to stand out. Actually, all the way from now until probably until the bluegill get done spawning, this color may work, and because it has a lot of colors that they're eating this time of year. If you're on a place with crawdads and bluegill and stuff like that. But don't go with pink. I don't suggest it. Don't go with a super bright bait that you can't tone down. Pick something that sort of has a natural look, and then pick out a couple trailers, a crazy bright trailer, a more natural subtle trailer, and then just switch back and forth during that day. Stick with, go out and fish the chatterbait, put a day into it. You only really need one. Pick out whichever one you think may be your favorite. Get that chatterbait, or maybe a couple close to that, in case you do lose one. And then a couple different colored trailers to switch back and forth and just fish it like I talked about. Try to go slow, give it a couple pops, let it dance around. If that doesn't work, pick up the pace. Like I try to, some stuff I start out a little faster, erratic, and then I, slow down. But with I don't know, with chatterbaits, I always just have what I feel is where the best chances of getting them to hit are, and then I may vary from there. There's just times when they want something a little faster. But I don't know. I don't have any problem. Oh yeah, Charles keeps bringing up the zinkers. Now, we also come across, Charles was probably the first one. I think we both had talked about it, and Charles was probably the first one actually just stuck the zinkers on. I'm not saying Charles is the first person in the United States, in the world. But as far as us fishing kind of thing. Charles just slapped a zinker on. Now, Charles still fishes them longer than I like. Charles will stick, I think, don't you, Charles, stick like the whole zinkers on? I don't like that. And a lot of people do. They just like that longer profile. I don't like that. I like to, as I'm getting this one, I'm trying to figure out what color will go good on this. It's got this pink in the skirt, but it's got this gold on the head. And I guess really, the thing about just to keep it more natural too, putting one of these Komodos on it, the Lunker Candy, because it's got that, I mean, it would go with it, and it's got a little bit of that purplish whatever fleck. That would, I mean, that would be a just good overall natural, who knows what it is for sure kind of bait. Or I could take one of these, cut it down to, you know, if they're pink, but probably not. I probably won't do that. I'll probably go, I'm more of a natural, intensified type colors, kind of like this. I know right this time of year, this is probably more likely to get hit, but honestly, I like this more subtle orange. Just like personally, and it, probably as the, you know, midsummer, I will probably be trying these before I do the bright ones. Probably put them up for next spring. Anyway, anybody other than Charles have questions? Oh yeah, Charles, did you see the, I finally got a hoodie since you hold mine for ransom. I don't think Charles is going to try to do any fishing this weekend. I think it's like a 95% chance of rain, only going to be 60 both days, Saturday and Sunday. So I don't know. I mean, they're probably going to be biting. They're probably biting today, but I had too much stuff going on after work. Oh yeah, I am anxious. Where's it at? Hang on. This would be a color too, to just keep something kind of subtle and natural, because it has like a gold flake in it. So, you know, probably with, I could run that. Probably won't. I mean, I could run that too on that. Charles lost my hoodie. So I'm going to jump into a few other things I switched around. I'll show you how I cut these. But I want to talk real quick because you guys know I haven't even brought it out yet. I haven't even broke it out. My favorite color to fish is black and blue with the gold blade. Where's it at? Maybe it's already in the other box. But, well, I even got a little bitty. That's just a mini, not a mini max. This is before the max part of it was cool. Yeah, I think it's in my other box, my favorite exact color. But like I mentioned, I like to run these on the back. So I got these to try. I don't know when, because I got all these other head-to-head and different stuff I want to be trying out here. I figure I'll give them these swim-ons a shot, because I think if they hold up, like if I can fish one of these all day and they get bit, you know, where it seems fine, no problem, they may be the better option than these. I will need to cut them down, because these things are, the 425, they're pretty big. Like, I think they hinder the performance, which we've already tested. If you haven't seen that video, it is out. You can go watch it where I tried the purple ones out. And I don't know if I've got any sitting around where I can show you. I think I already buried them. Hang on. Did I already take the other one off? Hang on. Time out. Ow. I'm going to have a mess here. I got to get that again. I'm digging. I'm looking. Hang on. Well, I can't find the other one. I may have already taken it off. The one I didn't cut down, but so here is my favorite up until this year, but this year so far, it's that bluegill colored one. It's Neo. But I had just this color almost gets bit anytime, no matter what. You would think like, oh, well, you know, you can't throw black and blue all the time. I'm telling you, that black and blue with the gold blade, half ounce, just is, it's on another level. Probably just the confidence I have in it. And that's one of the Jackie Hammer colors. It's just that everything's black, but then it's got some of every, you know, it's got that, what do they call that? Either Dalmatian or something blue in it. And then once you put that royal type blue. So then here is a swim on this purple one. And I'll be honest, if one of these is getting hit, the other one probably will. But just some days, you may get on a tear with something like this, and this one won't, or maybe this one will. I mean, it's just one of those things that is hard to explain, but sometimes a little, you know, usually a dark color and a dark color, they're both going to work, or they want something lighter, you know, and the more, where'd that one, something like possibly this, the spot remover, or they want something green pumpkin-y kind of thing with a touch of chartreuse maybe. But there are times when a slightest little color thing could matter. But I've already sort of tested. Now they both got hit, but this one, the way it jumped around with the just that extra little, I don't know why they added the ribbing. I don't know why they felt it needed that. But on a chatterbait, which is true, you want really just the thing in the back to be going along with the action, everything that the blade is doing. So oh God, I'm gonna have a total mess for tomorrow. Good thing I'm not going fishing. I'll have to do all this cleanup. I'm gonna pull this one and we're gonna look at it. Now this is cutting down to 4.2025 to fit. I'm gonna have to get my hands slimy. Let's pull out. Hang on a second here. Now you know what? Let's pull out one of these other ones. Here, I'll show you. So I cut that down a little bit. I didn't even need to get those out. I'm going to show you with this guy. So we'll pull out the same exact color. So here is a very stinky swim on, and then I'll try to show you how I cut them down, because this is a pretty small bait. So if you can see, I'll put it on top if I can get it. So I basically, about right in there, I cut the head off. I cut almost all the ribs. And I actually like the idea of leaving just a little fine line. I think I don't know why. You don't technically have to. You could smooth it completely down if you wanted to. But when you cut it down to there, just, you know, because if I just rigged it on like that, it would be way back here. And in my opinion, it just makes it bigger, bulkier. It's not going to let it jump around. I don't even know how well these jump around in the first place. But if you can see, like I like that, just, and I don't have a measuring tape on me, but like just over an inch, whatever roughly the length of those are, you could have them sticking out. Now you could rig it up just like that, but in my opinion, although it's going to give you a bigger profile, it's going to take away, in my opinion, the action of the bait. Is why I think cutting them down would be an option. Now, not the color, you'd want a white one, but the Komodo Junior is one of those that you could just stick on and not cut it down. This bait's got a smaller hook, so also pay attention. Some of them, when you're rigging them up, if you try to put it on dead in the middle, it may be up too much for some of these littler baits. I guess I'll try to show you with one that. So like these, when I rig them up, I do it for a couple reasons. But I started a couple years ago, I started rigging most of my chatterbait things kind of at an angle. So if you're looking at it from straight on, it angles the plastic down slightly. It does a couple things. For one, it gives you more of a gap for the bait, especially now once I started cutting these down, I probably don't have to do that, but I started doing that because of I was putting a little bit bulkier baits on some of these smaller baits, not necessarily the mini max. Well, the mini max before the Evos came out, and then just a 3/8 ounce Jackie hammers don't have quite as big a hook as the normal jackhammer. That's not quite as tall. But then it also, the turbulence of the blade up here, it puts the trailer part just a little bit lower in that water column to where I feel it has a more natural look to it than just getting blown out by the blades. So it's just it probably doesn't make a huge difference, but it's all about confidence too. So you rig them up like that and get them just the way you want them, go out and throw them. And I'll be honest, I'm not trying to brag. The way I fish, none of that usually lets me down. It usually, and it produces fish. So, now I'm all sticky. Yeah, it's supposed to rain all weekend, Charles. How I do that is real simple. I'm not going to do one because this little stuff starts flicking everywhere. Oh yeah, and these, I'm not sponsored by anybody, but I'm telling you right now, and funny thing is I didn't even buy these. But you can get these at Bass Pro for like $3.99, these little serrated scissors for like cutting braid, but for cutting plastic, they don't let it like squish out from you, so the serration part holds it. But I would recommend picking up a couple pairs of these. Put one in your tackle box, leave one at home, because I always I'll forget these on the table and be out fishing, like, where's my... And so I keep another pair of just regular small scissors. So these are good. Those little needle, like it gets in there. If you want to get into, like, say you want to cut a skirt off that's, tied on, not with the wire tied, but tied on, or just get in there and do a little fine cutting. These little cheap, you can find these all over anywhere. They're not very expensive. So I keep a pair of those in my tackle box, and these just for cutting, the more of a heavy duty, but then these little more finesse scissors. I don't even think, I want to say when I got these at 40 Woods Bait and Tackle out in Blue Springs. At the time they were like $1.99 maybe. I don't know. They were cheap. Had a whole like bundle of them and stuff. And then these are $3.99. But I just cut almost all those ribs off, and if I'm cutting one of these for the 3, you could probably leave it on any of the bigger ones, especially like the big blades or the Z-Man Originals, because they actually don't start with the hook or bait keeper until you get further up. But for the 3/8 jackhammer type stuff, knockoffs that is, I usually cut about, it actually does have eyes. If you look, they kind of got a little funky eye thing molded in. Just behind eye, or about halfway, is where I cut it. I round that part off, and then I just trim all that up. And then there's a bottom side to it, right? There's a way to rig it on where it comes up. That's like the bottom. So on the bottom, I also give it a dip cut too. You don't technically have to, but so when you rig it up, you want that bait when you put it on. There's no like big spot where you just cut it flat to where it can catch water and create drag, right? You don't want to create any extra drag. So that's how you rig those baits up. Let me put this stinky thing back up. Now, I don't plan on fishing these by themselves. I've seen a couple things where guys talk about just rigging them up almost like you would a swim bait and fishing by themselves. And I'm sure that at some point they probably get hit, but I won't be doing any of that. These are strictly trailers. So let's talk about the other baits that I picked up. So we'll talk about this one real quick. This, since I've been holding it and moving it around, is the one we picked up from AliExpress. The closest thing it resembles is that Jackal brake blade, but it doesn't have the couple wires that stick down. But it does have these 2 wires with looks like a hot glue gun plastic melted on the tips. I have no idea why you need those other than keep you from jabbing yourself. But they are probably just stout enough to where you can run this thing around wood. That's the hope, or this little dude, he's going to be a goner because he's going to get thrown around some places that my normal chatterbaits wouldn't. But these were $6. So if they do work, get hit, and can get around some wood, it's like money well spent, in my opinion. I got 2 different colors just to get them and just to throw them. You know, I spent $12. We'll try them, see what they do. Maybe I wasted $12. Maybe you'll see me with a whole bunch of those. But then I also jumped in and picked up these guys right here. 4 of these. They were clearing them out for $4 each. It was like 18 bucks for 4 of them. So I got one I'm going to leave alone for sure. Or add, I may turn one of these into a fireball type color. But then I already rigged one up, you know the deal, in a bluegill, and that's the Boss bluegill, and I've already cut some of it. I've trimmed it up, and I just added a craw to it because this guy I'm going to be throwing around, dragging it in and around wood. We're just going to put it through, like it's going to either go through the wood or it's going to be history. We're going to lose it. It's going to get stuck, and we're going to lose it. So I got him rigged up like a bluegill crawdad, right? It just gets hit. But I rigged just that one up just because it does have some extra kick, and I kind of want that something that even if because there may be come a point where I'm dragging it slow enough that this won't be actually activated, and I want something back there moving. Then when I pick up the pace and this activates, and then that go, you know, that kind of thing. So I rigged that dude up, and then I kind of wanted to create a sleeper craw in a chatterbait. So that's that Z-Man, Elastec, and then I did one of Charles's little tricks. He's got a live target square bill crawdad that he just ties on like a couple strands of skirt to give it like whiskers. So I got that dude rigged up to throw. Basically, these are going to present the same thing, just throwing them around, and then once I'm out there fishing them, and whether they don't get bit or whatever, if I don't get any hits on them, I'm going to completely change the color of the heads and kind of rethink the process of what I'm doing there. But if they just get stuck instantly, I'm not even going to worry about them. I'm going to stick with the chatterbaits that I do know and like, and you won't see me buying any more of the cross eyes ever. If these work real good, will it make me want to buy the bigger? I think they're bigger. I think they might have a little stouter hook. But if you guys didn't watch the unboxing, these hooks, I'll show you on the one that doesn't have a bait on it. Those are not heavy wire hooks. Okay? If you can watch me. If I can grab it like this and feel it flex, that can easily be bent out with like say 14 to 15 pound test, probably all it would take to straighten that hook on a hard hook set. So that's probably going to be like a 10-pound. It's more of a finesse-y type thing is what I'll probably be throwing with these. They're definitely, let me show you. So hopefully you can make out that's the mini max. Like you see how much thinner that is? Like this is still a stout enough. You could probably even 20-pound test. You're going to be fine with the mini max, Evos, the Baby Jack's actually a little thinner, but I don't think it's as thin as this. It doesn't scare me. It just, you got to know if you get these off AliExpress, they're not going to be that, you know, throwing them on medium heavy 17 to 20-pound test line. You're going to probably come back with straightened out hooks out of the wood or whatever. But, you know, if that's your like, well, I want to, you know, not let them get hung up. I don't know how many times you could bend that back if you pulled it out a little bit from being hung up on wood or something. But hopefully these little antennae keep that from happening. I don't know how well these baits will hold up, how long they'll last. But we're going to give them a shot, right? We already picked them up. And I also had picked up these split tails, right? This is the old school original. What's funny is Tactical Bass, and that was the first thing, number 10 on their list, were basically the Zoom split tails. I'm like the Z-Man ones, you put one on in it. The Zooms, actually, I remember them lasting forever too. But I got these, and I'll show you what I was going to try to do, and I'm still not done, but the first attempt is an utter failure. So my thought was, what if I get the split tail grubs, and I turn them into, instead of a twin tail split tail grub, a quad tail. So here's what I did. Where'd I put it? It just didn't come out right. So I just basically cut a big hole in the chartreuse one, cut off the yellow one, And I was trying to go for this like quad tail thing. Now I could probably put that on and it would probably work, but it just looks funky to me. You know, in my head it looked cool, and once I did it, I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that. So I was thinking, you get like I want to say these are only like 350, and there's 10 of them. So really, for like, you know, double them up, and you could do the same thing with the same color. Just give you 4 appendages back there, right? Do 2 of the chartreuse, 2 of the whites, or whatever, and you get, you know, 4 things sticking back there. So when you rig it up on a bait, and you'd probably end up on these, like some of them you may want to cut it a little shorter, but you get it rigged up on a bait sticking out, and you know, really all the fish are going to see are these 4 different, you know, a couple are going to be shorter than the other, just trailing behind the you know, spinnerbait, jackhammer, chatterbait kind of deal. So I'm not 100% giving up, but that was the first. I may at some point stick it on one of these and try it. And just to show you, since I'm sitting here looking at it, this was also something that I've, can you guys guess what that started out as? Anybody? So Z-Man Elastec, I'm like, man, there's got to be something I can actually cut that I like as a trailer. Because I'll be honest, I've tried almost everything, and as a trailer, or as a craw, as a creature, Z-Man, in my opinion, just sucks. The actually, the sweet beaver blows away the palmetto bug. I mean, there's just so many different things. And then when you try to use anything, like, I always forget the boar hogs, is that what they call this? These things just suck. I've tried them as trailers. I've tried them by themselves. I feel this, I like the color, but I feel, I don't know, something about, I love Z-Man worms, from the finesse worms, the zinkers, love those. I like putting the zinkers, like Charles said, you can take and slap a zinkers on the back of a chatterbait, choom, instantly is a bait that will get hit, right? You can put, you can rig the zinkers up all different ways, wacky style, on a shaky head. There's almost no wrong way to rig it up, just like you would a Cinco or something. The gremlin, this is a gremlin, by the way. I have not tried those yet. I've still got, like, I bought one pack of every color, and I'm going to go out and try them, you know, on a Texas rig, you know, and probably a wobble head is where I really want to try them, but maybe a Texas rig and a wobble head, biffle head kind of thing. But I want to try to also get them to convert to possible chatterbait trailer. And so I cut this sucker way down. I cut off the side appendages, the ears I call them, and then I made these into like claws, and I cut out a lot of the bulk out of that. Now I have not put this on anything and even swam it through the water to see what it does, but I'm thinking I want to try these, because the thing about it, Z-Man, that is good, as soon as you put it on, it's there for definitely the whole day, until you lose that chatterbait that day, that week, the next week, whatever. What's up, Michael? So there's that option we've been sort of trying to find. The goats, I'm still not sold on the goats, and I'll tell you why. They just don't get bit as well as these guys. When I was testing them, that was the year before last. You can use the goat and cut it down. I've done it. I've talked about it in several videos. If you guys haven't seen that, it's pretty much the same as you're seeing me cut down any. They just basically round it off to where it's at least as thin as this, and then just let it go. But I think what I'm going to try, let me find my goat. Let me find my goat. Hang on. Let me find my goat. So, and I do like the new Z-Man bait, but I've caught fish on it, and I'll show you the other alternative since we're talking about them. Since we're talking about all of it, I'll show you what I've already picked up, and I do like. I don't like the baby goat for any of them. I just think that it's a little too small. So the new baits, these are not bad, but I feel they need to be cut down. This is actually the bigger one that I cut down to basically be as thin as the small one, so it gives you a bigger tail, yet it doesn't, and it probably even needs to be cut down a little more. But the bigger size of that chatter shed or whatever, I do like those, but you only get 4 for like whatever, but they will last a long time. So I may get some of those. There's also, I forget the name of these. These are an option, but the goat, I know you're like, that does not look like a goat. I slimline those down. It definitely changed. Like, it gets hit. It jumps around. It does everything just like this does. But you can watch these have a little more like a naturally kicky type look to them. These more like just look like they're getting drug through the water. So what I'm going to try, I have not tried it. And I got this idea from, where did I get this idea from? I've done it on a few other baits. From the Little Fuzzy, the Riot baits, their creature style baits, they have their appendages. One side is cut one way and one the other. So I think maybe the fact that these have these, just this little thing here, it doesn't really let it, like, it just, I don't know. So I'm just going to try it, and I'll try it on this one at some point in time. I'll put it on. I'm going to cut, and I'm going to cut the opposite side. So I'm trying to do this where you guys can see it, and I can do it without looking through the camera. I'm just going to cut one off like that. And then I'm going to flip it over and cut the opposite side. Now this may not do anything hardly different. Like that. And I'm going to try these again. So in theory, it should do something. It put them out of sync and it should move a little more, but they almost look like they're just getting drugged behind. Whether you cut the goat down or not. But cut down like this, before I cut those or whatever, it does still have, it gives the freedom, like it frees up the bait. Almost like you don't even have a trailer back there because it's so, there's not a ton of weight and it's very streamlined. So I'm going to try that with these because these do work. Like, they do get bit, but I feel that they, maybe there's a little something, not that you can't, judge a book by its cover, but no, don't compare with what I'm talking about colors, just the profile more or less. Because these, like this one's been on several different fishing trips, several different baits. It's even been on a spinnerbait. And I can still put it on something else and it still gets hit. So it does work, but I feel that there's a little bit better bite to be had with these. But that could have been a game changer, what I did right there. We're going to try it and then compare all these. And it's not going to be one trip. This, as you can see, all the crap I got going on here, it's going to be over a period of time. But there's another one of those. So this dude, the gremlin, all I did was I cut the long twirly tails off of it. I added a little bit of like a pincher look to it, and then I went ahead just to cut them. I just cut those off just to have something back there moving. Now I kind of rigged this one up. I was thinking on this one just on a jig, right? Just put it on the back of a jig to have it so as soon as it lands, these start buoyant, so it pops up and you just get some movement. And trying that, and I haven't really, this one's still in the works. And then the gremlin by itself, more like you would baby brush hog type thing, the gremlin by itself, but then also for on the back of jigs and stuff, adapting it to this, like where you would sort of the boar hogs. But I'll be honest, even the strike, I can't even remember the name of Strike King one now, but the Sweet Beaver for the back of a jig, the Baby Brush Hog just rigged by itself, maybe even on a wobble head. But then I don't know, I don't have as much faith. I'm going to try to get more confidence in rigging up, finding some of these Z-Man baits that work. And what's funny is I've used these Rage Menaces on, like, I don't know, all my chatterbaits at some different time. Even the full-size one I like more on the big blade. I've never rigged one of these up by themselves and I've seen several people doing it. I don't know. I've never rigged that bait up, just using it like as a grub type thing. Structure bug lot. What's up, Jeremy? I haven't heard from you in a while. The Lake Fork Magic Shad. No, I don't even know what you're talking about. Okay. You guys feel free to comment about whatever I've talked about or something else you want to talk about, but I'm going to jump to the pink stuff real quick. Here's my take on the pink, because I've fished pink now since, well, whenever the Z-Man TRD bubblegum pink first came out. It's probably honestly the first time I started fishing, like, dedicated a bait that was pink and went, wow, there's something to that bait. Now it's the more hot pink, bright pink, but I still think like what fish see when they're looking, I think a fish, in my opinion, sees this bait, like what attracts them to it and the distance they can see it at is basically just like, hang on. Oh boy, hang on. I got one in here. Hang on. You guys take a look at my new hoodie. Where's it at? Oh my God. We're going to use this one for an example. And we might as well use this dude too. Just roughly. So I think, in my opinion, it's a sight to how far away they can see it. But like white and chartreuse, and then I can't even explain this color. But this color also has a time when it just, I mean, they just nail it. And it's like, yeah, they're not really hitting chatterbaits that good. You throw that thing and it's like, oh, they're hitting chatterbaits good. That color chatterbait. And I don't think, I don't even know if they can really differentiate, you know, the true difference between a chartreuse, between a yellow or a pink from a hot orange. You know what I mean? I don't know how well their coloring works. I've heard different stories. They only see certain, you know, there's only so many colors, spectrums and shades or whatever they see. But I think the same reason that pink works when it does is the same reason that chartreuse works when it does. And for me, it's low light conditions. It's hard to explain, but you can take some kind of neon-y type colors, almost like a black light type thing, but not to that extreme. Like some people talk about the UV stuff. But you'll be out there fishing, and you can have your bait box like sitting here, like I got this one sitting here now. And if the sun's up and it's bright, the chartreuse and some of these pinks don't show up, like they don't stand out. And you'll see that like the light changes and some of your neon-y type colors, they just almost start like a glow to them, right? They just like, wow, that color just intensifies the way that color looks to you, like to our eyes. And what usually the truth is, when you throw that bait, that's when its best chance of getting hit is when it's standing out the brightest. And what's funny is, now this isn't 100% everywhere, but like smallmouth for sure, like that chartreuse is like insane. When I went with Matt, I've only been smallmouth fishing a few times, but man, it's insane how bright a chartreuse they will hit. And the water's pretty clear and it's fairly bright, but you throw it like in a little nook and cranny where it's shade, you know what I mean? Like where there's shade. And it's just amazing where, I don't know, some of that way that colors work. Birdie Velasquez says, I have a dedicated chatterbait rod, but in a pinch, do you think that the Super Destroyer does well with them? Honestly, the Super Destroyer is probably my last pick of my rods to throw a chatterbait. Except for... Now let's go through that real quick. Okay, you changed. That's my idea on pink. So let's talk about that. Chatterbait rods. I'll be honest. I'm still up in the air on like which one is best for certain. There's so many now. Like you really can't have a chatterbait rod. It's almost impossible. You almost need a couple rods. I mean, you can have one that will, work with all of them, but especially now that like you add some of these little bitty dudes in there, or like especially if you go into, let me see if I got some, like when you get to this level, right? These little 16th ounce ones, even though it's a fairly stout hook, it's probably the same wire as that one, but it's got a smaller bend. Therefore, if it's the taller they get and the thinner they are, the more likely they are to bend out, right? But so you get into this BFS almost style, like it's almost impossible to just go, oh yeah, this is a chatterbait rod, because they'll throw the half ounce. So you kind of need to know like what your basis is on what the base, a chatterbait 3/8 or half ounce. That's probably it, and it's usually a 4 or 5/0 style hook, roughly in that size. So still to date, my favorite that I always talk about, and it's already got Neo rigged up on it. As you can see, little Neo sticking his head out. Now, this is not going to be a favorite for a lot of people, but the blade. I know it's upside down, but the F5 6/8 blade, P5 destroyer for Megabat, that is just 4 up to that half ounce, though. But I'll be honest, if you're going... Now, I've thrown the 5/8... I don't even have any around here, but the Thunder Crickets, it handled those. I think I caught a fish or two with it. But if you were going to start using this rod, the Super Destroyer... Hang on, I got to turn the wrong way. Let's get it right side up. I need more room to turn them right side up. Like, I like it for jigs, but if you were going to throw chatterbaits, like you're talking about, like if you want to throw just jigs and chatterbaits, I'll be honest, your best option, I'm going to show you 3 options, really. Now, you could throw the big jackhammers, right? The ones 5/0. You're going to be, you're not one of the hook sets. You're going to be at a little slight disadvantage. And I may end up finding that I like a rod, something like that for these that may require more power. You still got to be subtle. Like you do a jig set with especially the Super Destroyer, you're probably going to miss a lot of chatterbait fish. But let's throw a couple other rods into that mix. So if I'm throwing, say, a 704, 705, probably 704 like Dobbins, medium heavy MBR type thing like the 803 and maybe the 804 MBRs from Loomis, that kind of thing. The 3 chatterbaits, if you're like, say, oh man, I want to fish jigs, spinner, or if you have a spinnerbait rod that you really like. No, not really spinnerbait rod. They tend to be a little softer. Let's just stick with that. Super Destroyer and the Dobbins that I have, 704. I'm going to pull out 3 baits. I think I got 3 here right on hand. Maybe not, because I may have taken the one out. Did I take... I already took it out. You guys know what a Z-Man original looks like. But I will show you the... Well, yeah. No, yeah. No, yeah, no. Oh, there's a couple options. I can't find my big blades. Give me 1 second. 1 second here. Hang on. I'm going to have a huge mess. I'll show you with this guy. Okay. Well, I'm just going to show you with these right here. So I'm going to consider this as a Z-Man original, even though it's a custom. So the bigger one with that bigger honking hook would work awesome, sort of, for the Super Destroyer. The big blade, or what I would probably recommend if you just were bound and determined to throw chatterbaits on a Super Destroyer, or the Dobbins 704, that style, more of a heavy rod. would be like this guy from the Omega Custom Tackle Rapture Jig. This is way out here, you know, chicky may in the wind, you know, just like now. But it's, you know, if you get hit, it's, I think you're going to have a little better hookup ratio with baits like that with the big honking hooks. If you're throwing the average, well, I guess the jackhammers are a little bit. I always talk about taking my jackhammers out, and then I always end up needing them for like a reference point to look at sizes. And I don't know, do the 3/8 ounce jackhammers, I guess I got one of those floating around here somewhere. Do they have a bigger hook? But so yeah, if you're on that high end, like you're the smallest you're throwing is like a 1/2 ounce original or a jackhammer. But when you go to some of those smaller, I believe the Evos even, it's just a little bit smaller hook. Then no, the Super Destroyer would be like, it's not even on my list of rods to throw. The Dobbins 704 and that style, those you know, heavy, medium heavy, or a heavy, in my opinion, especially if they're more like with a jig type pro, like if they're not any kind of moderate whatsoever. P5s all seem to be a little moderate, but you know what I mean? That's a dude I got rigged up to try to. It didn't really. It's not a true spot remover, but I added that little chartreusey looking trailer that is actually only like that because it's set in a box so long it absorbs some of the colors from the other baits. Like the best rods, I'll still stick with my original back in the day. To this date, I just don't have one because it's not sensitive enough for me for like other stuff. It's like the versatility of the Carbon Light 2.0s. It's limited to, in my opinion, Carbon Light 2.0s from Bass Pro Shops are limited to moving baits. They're not sensitive enough to I don't know, just for what I like. But the best chatterbait rod I've ever had was one of those. Like I felt like I caught fish that I shouldn't have caught. That like they hit it, and by the time I realized they hit it, I didn't even really get the hook set right away, but I still caught those fish. And like I mentioned, the next best one for the fun factor, and also that I feel like they almost sometimes hook themselves on the rod, is the Blade. But another one that's right there, and I don't know why I can't make myself like it as much as these P5s. I guess it's just not quite as sensitive, is the Poison Adreno. So this rod, 611, medium plus, except for those big baits like I just showed you. But honestly, even the Blade isn't the perfect thing for those. I probably, honestly, that Carbon Light 2.0 was the best at that. And probably, maybe this, but probably that one of the Lew's that's more of a medium heavy that got a little more give to it, may be better. But for whatever reason, I like that Super Destroyer for spinnerbaits. But when it comes to chatterbaits, I just feel it's too stiff for the, once you go to 1/2 ounce and down, 3/8 and any of the mini, I just feel it's a little too stiff. I'm sure it'll catch them to a certain extent. I think you're just gonna, the chance of losing more fish on the initial, you know, hook set, or by trying to get them to the boat, because it does not have a lot of give to it. So anyway, oh, I want to talk about this one real quick. As we're talking about trailers, that little trailer that's been out forever, but you can kind of find a use for it that I don't hear anybody talking about are these little dudes. And on the little Mini Max, I cut them down, just the head of them off, and then streamline them or whatever. But that little dude right there, like I've talked about it in a video before, I've only caught a few fish on it, but I've only thrown it a few times. Every time I throw it, it just catches a fish, you know, a little bass. It's not, it may catch a giant, but it just catches fish when I throw it. So I picked up some of those different colors. Those little finesse shads, I think they're called, or whatever. But look like an awesome little, when you're just wanting that, add a little link to it. If that's the closest I come to those pin style, whatever, I don't know, whatever that new one, Chatter Spike or whatever they came out with, and then this one, I will get these before I do the Chatter Spike, in my opinion. I want that extra little profile. I feel it still has a little vibrating and does all that just as good as those others, but anyway, that's just my opinion. Yeah, if the Superstore is the only thing you're taking, yeah, take you some chatterbaits too. But like I mentioned, if you already have chatterbaits, just take what you got. But if you're going to look for them, the probably the Thunder Cricket. It's got a good hook. The Thunder Cricket's got a very good hook. Like out of all of them, in my opinion, just looking at the hook, I like that coated whatever in the hook. I don't even know where mine are. Do I have any? My goodness, I got so many baits. Like when you just ask a question and I'm thinking about one, I don't even know where there are any. Hang on. Let's compare the Thunder Cricket. Let's do that comparison. Somewhere, I just had one. Thunder Crickets. Where are you? I'm probably going to change this skirt on this one. So I changed this once. I'll probably do it again. So let's get the old bee hideout. So here, let's do this comparison. We're going to compare the jackhammer to the Thunder Cricket. Now this is a 1/2 ounce, and this I believe is 5/8. But I think they have the same hook size. But that hook, I don't know if you guys, if the color and just the coating, like it just feels slicker. It just has this. Let's compare. I think they're roughly, and a lot of you may be like, I like the jackhammer better. I would say that your chances are probably the same. Like the barb looks to be roughly the same. About the same sharpness, but this is brand new. This is like 5 years old, the jackhammer. This is good metal. Whatever metal they used on that, it's good stuff. So yeah, I think they're roughly the same. But if I had to just pick, if you're like, oh, you can have this hook put on all your, 3/8 ounce or whatever, what would it be? It probably would even be that, over that. There's nothing wrong with those. I've never had an issue with them. But that coating, just looking at it, it just looks like a fancier, a more, it's hard to explain. It just looks like maybe a better coating. This just looks not, this doesn't even really look like it's got a coating. It just looks like your standard, what a lot of your, EWG style hooks you end up picking up look like as far as the finish. This looks like it has an actual coating on it. So anyway, I got everything all out of order. I'll clean up all this mess tomorrow. Yeah, those, where did my packs of those go? I don't remember where I put them now. Let's just use these. Green pumpkin blue. But yeah, these finesse shads, I don't think I've ever heard anybody talk about using them for chatterbaits or like on them for the mini mats, but I don't think these stink at all either. But that little dude right there, you can just take him and, if you're wanting to have a little bit more movement or whatever, but if you're just wanting a simple something to slap on there, just a whole one will be longer. But like I said, I go in here and I cut it off right about where that head, well, let's try to make that focus. I cut them off right about there, and then just, round it off. And then you got to pay attention that there's a little bit hollow belly to it, so you kind of rig it up a little higher. Kind of like if it was a skinny worm, basically rig it like that. You don't cut this off, but just don't pay any attention to it. Trying to rig, don't rig it too deep. Rig it like it was a skinny worm after you cut that head off and round it, and it just lets you, rig it up a little bit shorter to where you just get, which is roughly about the same as what I ended up with that. And it just kind of works like what those pintails do, right? And what's good about these, of course, like you just mentioned, if you already got them or a couple different colors that'll work for the smaller chatterbaits. But if you don't, they're still only, I think they're $3.99 and you get 8. So you got 50 cents a bait, and they will last you probably days, right? And on these the Mini Max and the Evo Mini Max, and if you got the Baby Jack, it's going to be the same thing. They're like almost a perfect size. Going to let it jump around, just give you something back there. And like I mentioned, that's the only one as of right now I got rigged up. The one I showed you. Caught fish almost every time I've thrown it, which is only like 2 or 3 different days maybe, but it just catches fish. I got all these other stuff I've been throwing, so I have no issues with using those. Now I haven't put one on like a regular full size to try them. I figured I'd get around to it at some point, but I've got all these other ones. But it's long enough, like you rig it up, just leave it, don't cut it or nothing, rig it up on like a jackhammer. I mean, you're going to have the same thing that they're going to try to sell you the spark shads and all those things for, but it's going to be way less resistance in the water. So now there may be times where you need, I hardly ever find a time with a chatterbait that I want any bulk. I want it as streamlined, but I do want something back there moving around. But it'd be something to try, especially if you already have them. But I mean, if you're only, you at Bass Pro, Cabela's, next time you're making a tackle warehouse order, just pick a color that you think will go with some of your chatterbaits, $3.99, just get them and try them. So I plan on using them. I just haven't, got them all out yet. I've been using all this other stuff. I did buy these. I only had I had a couple colors. I had the more natural colors, I think, and I had them all in one package. But I have the Deal, Smelt, or one of them, and I had those together. But then since then, I've ordered like 3 or 4 of the colors. The downside is they only have them in so many colors. I wish they made them in, an orange, copper truce, some of the brighter colors, and they don't. But they do have all like more of your naturally type colors, so you could get those. And that's kind of when you'd want to use more of a finessey thing just out there. And then when you want to go, bold and bright, then go with, some of these other baits, maybe even these, because I've caught fish on both these. I had this on a regular 3/8 ounce Evo, caught a few fish, and then in the short time I used them, and then I had this dude on where did I do with that bait? I had this one on this dude and caught some. Now what I plan on doing, even though this is about the same profile as that, it's got a more of what I call like a finessey tail. So my plan is to cut it down even more. So I'll come in here and I will trim basically that little flappy stuff. I'll trim it down to that, and then same thing on the belly, and make it even more streamlined if I'm using it on the Mini Maxes. If I had to, I could probably put it on a regular one and leave it alone for just a little, but I wouldn't want to do that. Like, I probably honestly won't buy any more of these. What I'll probably, even though you get like 5 for the same price, you get 4 of these, but they're bigger. But you can cut down that plastic and get it even smaller than what this is, which is close to what that comes. But my plan is to cut these down even smaller, and then you can like right now, it's fine for these, like the regular size chatterbaits, but you can cut it down even smaller and then run it on, then you would cut it a little shorter too, but give it more streamline and then run it. I think it is a better option. Just give it that little bit bigger tail. Still not going to have enough drag. This part is going to be fine to let it, let the bait jump around. It's just this is kind of big and bulky for the mini maxes. I got to make sure before I get done here tonight I can leave all these baits out, but I can't have any of these Elastecs touching any of these other baits, or it'll be game over for those few baits. So yeah. Yeah, the deal's a good color to use. It can go for a lot of different, like, basically bait fish colors, right? Rigged up a Baby Jack with the Super Fluke Junior. Yeah, like I talked about, there's so many soft plastics that you can convert to chatterbait trailers. One thing is to just know that, in my opinion anyway, you can slimline them down, because well, let me try to show you this one. Now, this one's probably going to suck, and I'm trying to make myself, I just haven't even thrown these enough. If you guys remember, I got some of these different colored bluegill colors, and I don't even like them well enough to throw them. I'm out there fishing. This one's, I think, yet to get wet this year, but I wanted to try some of these other baits I just picked up. So I cut this dude down by like a lot. Oh man, this deal's stuck. Oh, that's another thing I want to talk about. So that's one of those baits. Just a creature that I cut down and slimlined it enough to where I just got the appendages back there flopping around. Because it started out as a normal, like, huge creature that I didn't want all that bulk holding me up on the chatterbait. Have not thrown it yet to try it. If you go get I think these are still on Tackle Warehouse right now for like $4 each. The cross-sized chatterbait, but they do have very little snaps, and I've heard a few comments on the feedback thing. That's a pretty little snap for that bait. So I just rigged one up. I'm going to try the one. I'll probably leave alone. I may rig this guy up. I may change out and put a bigger one. But where did my other go? This one I went ahead and I did switch out to my bigger size snaps that I use. So I rigged this one up. He's going for broke next time I go fishing. He's either going to catch a bass or get stuck in the wood and get lost. But with 20 pound, I plan on fishing all these anyway with at least 20 pound P-line original to the 20 pound braid leader. The little dudes I won't be able to do that with. It'll only be 10, but this guy's we're going for it with those. So yeah, I'm anxious I got to get ready tomorrow. If there's any that's what I'm going to look at the weather. If there's any little window where I get out, even if it's around here locally, I'm going to try to go somewhere where there's a chance of catching fish, but then get some of these baits out there. I didn't even talk about any of my swim baits. I kind of started rigging up some of my swim baits with some of these baits that I hadn't used. Jay, who never got back with us since I started the channel again, but if you remember right, Jay sent me the Gambler. He wanted me to try these Gambler. They claim in Florida Gambler's the thing, right? So that's where we probably ought to use our Komodos if we ever go to Florida. But he sent me these Gambler easy swimmers, talking about how they like those way better than what we use, the skinny dippers and stuff like that from Reaction Innovations, right? And they're a whole different thing. But so I've cut down some of these and rigged up on some of our, just swim jigs. I got rigged up this one for the black and blue. Where's my other one? I've rigged up another one somewhere. I don't even know what I did with it. Got another one. I don't know what I did with it. But I got it rigged up. Now, I'm just playing around. I don't plan on leaving it, but I rigged up a few others. I got to figure out... oh, I'd rigged up... Now, if you remember, I put this as probably one of those Boss bluegills, and then I rigged up one of our little... That's a regular Rage Menace sideways, so it kind of gives it a bluegill profile as just a swim jig to get out there and try. I probably trim up some of that... Well, the skirt material in general, trim it up a little bit, but I'll probably get rid of the majority of that yellow, just leave a few little strands in it. And then try that dude. I got all, like, and I don't know, there's stuff everywhere that I got rigged up. We're going to be trying. I got to get this pink dude rigged up. I'm probably, honestly, going to go with the cut down Zinkers, that bubblegum color. Like I talked about, I usually, on the Zinkers, I either cut them, so the tail part, I either cut them right where the smooth part begins or at this end of it. So depending on if I've already cut down, you know, I hold it up to the skirt material. So usually if I'm not going to jack with cutting the skirt material down, I don't try to make it compact. I leave it long, so I cut it where the, you know, at this side of the slick part, right where the belly of it is, kind of thing. I'll cut it there, rig it on, and then so it's, well, let me try to show you. Let me put it to where, so on this one, that's probably what I would do, and it's sticking out about an inch and a half is probably what I'll do with that. And I'm almost guaranteeing that will probably catch fish. Now, I've never thrown this bubblegum color in a Zinkers by itself or on a ChatterBait. Now, I've thrown that color, like everybody probably has the TRDs, and it's like game on, game over. But I've just never, I don't know why, I've never bought a pack of these. This is the first pack I've ever bought, so I've never thrown them, period. So I got that to try on that one. I'll probably either rig that on this or wherever my pink swim bait went. We'd gotten these from Big A like a few years ago. So I'll probably utilize the last few of these I got, rig them up, angled down just a little bit, and probably leave the tail on them. You know, the paddle tail complete, or I could just rig them up normal and then trim off, you know, make it like it's smooth kind of thing, just back there floating around. But you can also slimline these if you wanted to. But the spunk shad and the, I don't know, those things are basically just these slimmed down to a pintail, you know, a mold. So, I mean, they work, but I don't know. In my opinion, this thing looks good to me. Now, where did you come from? Get out of there. That should catch fish. I'm going to probably throw this around other places than wood before I throw it in the wood, just to see what that does. Now, I may pick a few strands of that gold off, but I honestly, once I put this on there, that kind of made that gold color not be as hideous to me. But like, I'll throw it around there. If this thing just won't get bit, I'm going to slowly pull off chunks of that gold and then just try it like that. And the only other thing I may do is then try to take away a little bit of that gold head. But honestly, that color should work. That should get hit. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. Hour and a half, roughly. Wait, let me read. This tonight may never get over with. I added a blade to that bait. Going to try it out. Yeah, there's two options on, like, I've tried to make my own, but the Z-Man Cross Eyes is probably your best option of a true, you know, weedless, throw it through brush chatterbait. Now, you can get it in several different colors, sizes, and all that, but these were on clearance and probably still are. These right here. Cross Eyes chatterbait. Snag resistant bladed jig. David Walker approved. But they were like $4 each, so I bought 4 to try them out. I'd never bought one of these either, ever, until these 4 I bought. I just always, the Z-Man original, then I bought a couple different jackhammers, and then the Jackie Hammer knockoffs, and then it went from, well, no, I take that back. I bought some of the customs, bought some of the Omega Custom Tackle. But yeah, now like I just own way too many chatterbaits. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not necessarily a good thing, but it's not a bad thing. And then these guys right here, I got off AliExpress, if that's the one you're talking about. So the ones that come pre-made that you can buy that I bought are these two. So they also make this. The true version of this is called the Break Blade by Jackal. You can find them on eBay. You can find them on, I don't think they have them on Tackle Warehouse, but you can find them at the Hookup Tackle. Has them, some other JDM sites, stuff like that, if you're wanting something like that. Now, I don't know if they're anywhere close to this size. This is a very light wire hook compared to most chatterbaits. And then this is also a knockoff. This is a knockoff of Keytech. You get this in multiple colors too, but it's kind of like that. It's like sold out everywhere. The guy makes them out of his garage. He's like a cop or something. The Battalion, is it the Battalion? Battle Blade or Battle Baits, Battalion Blade or whatever they call it. It's more like, it looks like a clamshell thing, and then it's got a little, which I could add one because I got them, but it's got like a little spinner bait, right? Which I have spinner baits laying around that I don't do anything with. But it's basically attached to here. It's got a blade on the back, if you haven't seen those. So I could actually pop this off. This dude just sits over there. It's kind of rusty. Is this one rusty? No, this one may be fine. These are also awesome little baits that I just threw over here. I got too many spinner baits too. But anyway, so I'm going to try this just like this, and then I may add a little flashy thing to it because it's already set up for it, right? You just put a little blade back there, go out and throw it, and you got that expensive one. And these were like $2.50 or $3 off AliExpress. So anyway, we're going to get out there. I just got to get out there, and what I need to do, no offense to Charles, or Charles could go with me, but I need to go out there and just like methodically go through my new stuff. Like not try to worry about getting on a fish bite necessarily, trying them, and what I did with Charles. Like, so let me just run through that, then I'm going to get out of here. So I went fishing with Charles, and if you watch the videos, if you go back through there and you start watching them, and you'll see where Charles is literally on a rattle trap bite. Like he had that Quake 70, I believe it is, in that crackle crawl color, whatever, just tearing them up. And I'm throwing chatterbaits. Now, I caught a few chatterbaits. It really wasn't a chatterbait bite going on, but we managed to catch them. And once I can get out there with the chatterbait in whatever color or pattern or trailer, and I do catch fish, and I feel that it's not really a chatterbaity kind of day, I know that's probably a very, very good bait. So that's why I went ahead and got these in different colors. And I did the same thing with the Komodo Junior when I put the trailer on, well, not this color, but when I put this trailer on my bluegill Neo chatterbait, caught, what did I catch, one or two there. So I was catching some chatterbait fish. We had tried other chatterbaits that I had luck in that day. It just wasn't really as good a chatterbait day as the couple weeks before for whatever reason, even though the water had warmed up like 4 or 5 degrees compared to 2 weeks before that. And Charles was tearing them up with that rattle trap. So if I was just not worried about testing, I would have just also switched to my 3/4 ounce bluegill hard knocker, and I probably should have, because I got a lot of rattle traps that I need to try. Let's just look at those real quick. Where did I even put those at? There they are. Right where they're supposed to be. So I probably should have pulled this. Now I did in one spot. In that video, I don't know if I ever put that video, may never see the light of day. So all these little guys that I just picked up, kind of looks like the Jackal knockoffs, but smaller. And then these guys that I had in my box, took back out of my box, and then proceeded to order a few more. Didn't even try those. I did get this guy out, threw him like 4 times, caught 2 fish, and then put him back up because I'm like, okay, the new Bill Lewis rattle trap thing seems fairly legit anyway. But this is the color. Charles was on a tear with the bigger size. I briefly tried the smaller size, and I feel it wasn't as effective as the bigger rattle trap. And I'm just telling you, maybe the waters I'm fishing, but I would swear over a 5-year period, I've adapted to. I won't start with the little ones. I start with the big 3/4 ounce rattle traps and try those before I do the smaller ones on whether or not, get on a bite kind of thing. How many of these do I have? Yeah, I got 3 in that color. That's that crackle. The problem with these is I talked about switching from the Booyah Hard Knockers because the 3/4 ounce is hard to find. Guess what's hard to find? The big, is it the Quake 7? These are the Quake 60, I believe. This Crackle Craw is like getting hard to find in the bigger ones too, or Impossible or whatever. So I don't know. Maybe I'll just stick with Strike King. Problem is, I don't really like the color that Strike King has in. I've got a few. There's look at that sexy thing, LV500 in the LG bone. But I like the LV500. But I'm not going to pay any more money like that. These things are just a rattle trap's one of the easiest things to lose, and like $15 a rattle trap. I just don't want to do it no more. These are pretty good, but I need to just slowly probably get bigger ones. So anyway, I probably should have pulled those out and just been fishing those and abandoned my chatterbaits. But you know me, I can't do it. I can't abandon the chatterbait life or lack thereof. So I'm testing to see what I can get to bite. And then I'm like, yeah, those are pretty good trailers. That's pretty good bait. And the startup is fast and all that kind of stuff. So the rod that I'm also going to be trying for chatterbaits and continue to spinnerbaits, but this rod's starting to impress me, the jerkbait rod. This rod, if you guys watch that jerk, and that's just a few jerkbait fish. There is for Brew Tank, once he joins in at some point or watches this video, he's wanting a spinnerbait video. Hopefully you guys got the idea that don't know about spinnerbait, spinnerbait. Spinnerbait's on that rod. Jerkbait video. Brew Tank was wanting a jerkbait video, and so I just put together a few little clips of some of the fish I caught and the little time where a few casts I was explaining what I was doing, how I fish a jerkbait, and just by what I've seen other people fishing them, so that's why I recommend. But I probably caught twice as many, and it was kind of a dinky jerkbait bite, but probably caught twice as many as what I put out in that little video. So at some point I may put that whole, all the fish I caught on a jerkbait that day. And then I still got the jig video to put up. But what video I tried to put up today is going to drop in the morning. I tried to put up the spinnerbait video. So it's basically just trying out this bait that I knew I would like. I like the SV3 knockoffs, but I was trying this color, the one I, started out as Fire Tiger. I added the bluegill skirt to it. I don't even remember. I think I had the zinkers on the back of it. Yeah, I did. So I had the zinkers on it. Or the zinkers. Oh my God, I'm losing my mind. I had the goat on it, and it was working. I was catching fish, and I switched to the trickster and caught a fish or two, and then proceeded to lose the trickster. So I don't have any more of those. So then I tried a few others, but I was trying different rods. So I put this back on, and I had it on some of these other medium, heavy, and the heavy. I was trying it on the Dobbin 704. I don't know if I got around to throwing it on the jerkbait rod I just showed you, the KVD Signature Series. And then, of course, I know it works awesome on the Super Destroyer and the Poison Adrena. But that video, I rushed through trying to get it out last night done last night so it could drop this morning. And I went on a little rant and had a few little things to say that made that I didn't edit out. So I had to pull it back off this morning. It's ready now, and it's scheduled to drop 6 a.m. tomorrow. It's nothing groundbreaking. It's just me throwing some spinnerbaits, talking about it roughly mainly this spinnerbait and the trickster until I lost it. And then so I went back to this spinnerbait and trying some of the different rods I had. But still, to this date right now, throwing this bait or any spinnerbait so far. Oh, I just picked these up today. I'll talk about that real quick while I'm on it. This is my favorite spinnerbait to date, and the Super Destroyer is still my favorite rod to throw it on. I do like it on all my other medium heavies. I'm still up in the air on the Dobbins 704. I think it's a little touch long for me, and maybe a little too stout for how long it is. But it's working, but I don't know if it's my. I don't think it's going to take away the favorite part. One of the loos might, but I don't know. But then I just picked these up today also, and I was hoping because the blades look similar, right? So you see how they got that little. I'm like, maybe I can make myself like these Nobi ones as well, and you can get this one color, the white, you can get in the double willow. But these are not, they're a lot thicker. These blades are literally like, they're thin. They're like so thin. And that's what lets them just, like this one actually, you cast it when it hits the water. As this starts going, you watch this just kick in. It just starts like, these just start moving. They just start like downward working. And most of your spinnerbaits will, but the speed these just get instantly. I'm curious to see where these go, because I haven't really been paying much attention until I started paying attention to this guy. The bigger ones, like the tricksters, and those ones that are like bigger, thicker blades, they don't really do that. And if they do, they don't do it at the level that these lightweight ones do. Then the minute you start up, you can just go so much slower, and you feel it. That something about this, maybe how thick the wire is, but I don't think it's really much thicker. I don't know. Just something about this bait, I can feel what it's doing. Translates to me over all these other spinnerbaits better. And the Super Destroyer is the best at it, in my opinion. I think the blade's just a little. I know you can do it with the blade, but it just feels like I don't know if it's the length or it's a touch softer, that I don't feel as confident throwing a spinnerbait on the blade. I do with chatterbaits, but not spinnerbaits compared to the Super Destroyer. And the Super Destroyer should not be a rod, honestly, that I like for spinnerbaits. But it just is. And I probably will get out there and try them all. I may do this. I may take... This is when I do go by myself, because I can take all my rods, get them out. And I was kind of doing that. Me and Charles were doing that. But like to actually slow down a little bit more, take my time, put a chatterbait on every rod I own and just throw them. And, just to test that, put a spinnerbait on every rod I own. Just one right after the other, go back and forth. And you kind of just pick up that, this one, you just get you get in your feels, and then you also get in your, like, which one is actually working the best, which one feels the best, and you just come to your conclusion on, like, this is my favorite, right? So the spinnerbaits are really not, since I have less of them, they're not as complicated as the chatterbaits. The chatterbaits, I have so many different ones now that just throwing them on the blade is not really an option. I mean, I could, but I need the blade, Super Destroyer, hopefully the Signature Series. Sorry, blade, Poison Adrena, hopefully one of these Signature Series. Blade is still my first and favorite. Then would probably be Poison Adrena, but then this Elite TI is also right there with it. And then I'm hoping, I haven't really even hardly thrown them on this KBD one, but I'm hoping that'll be an option. Thank you, Frank. Oh yeah, then this is a knockoff. So all these baits you're seeing can be had, if I'm telling you they're knockoff, from AliExpress. So like these Megabass knockoffs, swim baits with the underspin, AliExpress. These dudes, AliExpress. just search ChatterBait and you will find these. Just search probably Megabass Spinbait or whatever, and you'll find this. I sometimes I will go ahead and try to track down the links, but and put them on there for you. Problem is, AliExpress is just it's just like this machine of stores, and they're always doing this sale and that sale, and you may not even like even me. I'll order something, buy it, have it, and like it, and go to order again, and it says it can't ship to me. And even though it shows in stock, it just will change like can't ship to your thing, or they could have changed the price. And then I go, you scroll all the way to the right on the pictures, scroll all the way to the right, and it'll say find similar. You hit that, and then it'll bring like cheaper options up, or you scroll, up or down, whichever way you look at it. Swipe up and scroll down, you're going to find usually another bait or a similar bait, maybe the same one, either cheaper or not, but you can click on it if you're looking for a certain color or whatever. So it's hard to say and just, put a link and go get it from there right then and there, because it happens so fast on AliExpress. What other baits? Hang on a second. Let me finish that. So yeah, the ones I recommend if you're going to get a chatterbait from AliExpress are, now there's other options, but you can go to AliExpress and type in the Nobi. Where did my Nobis go? I can't find that. There's some right here. So you got a couple options from AliExpress for the true jackhammer knockoffs. But the Nobi ones have the little thing here, have a closer to the jackhammer bait keeper, and in my opinion, just have a little touch, maybe better build quality. But the Jackie Hamas, they're spelled, Jackie like Jackie, and then not hammer, but Hama, like I don't know, it's spelled weird. But those are also a very good option. And you can roughly $250 to $350, and these are right now $3 to $4. But you type in chatterbait, and you'll just start seeing all these different chatterbaits pop up. I can't tell you really if I can recommend these or not. They may be junk to me when I get out there. I just now got them. I have not actually, they look nice. They look good. They're lightweight. Like if you're wanting a chatterbait option to fish on lightweight gear, this honestly could probably be one. So like probably that Conquest I have, the 802 Conquest. 802. It's not an 802. Is it 782? I think it's 782. But anyway, it's a 6'6", 2-power Conquest MBR. Would probably be an option for this. Maybe a touch light, but it would probably work if I want to get out there with the little 1.0 square bills. Throw this dude, those, a smaller, get some smaller baits going kind of deal. So anyway, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe to Bass and Bonsai. Like this video, share it on your social media stuff. The Jackal knockoff you can't find. Okay, well, hang on. Hang on, I'm going to get, I got the package right here. Now, if you can't find it, I can do the thing, but type in Flashblade. There it is right there. Rakaon, Rakaon or something. Flashblade is what it's called. And it's a 10-gram. Tournament type custom chatter hard lure artificial fish bait tackle fishing bait. Right? Makes perfect sense. You guys read that? That says this sucker is going to catch you a giant. Okay, all right. I see how you are. Made with Hayabusa hook. Hey, Ab USA. It's tournament type. So yeah, if you can't find it, Also, so during the live stream, I don't even know if I could look it up or whatever, but I don't get any of this stuff that I'm reading right now. So if any of these videos, once they've ended and you go in the comments and say, hey, Charlie, this I can't find, you know, like in a day or so, I can track down that thing if I see that you've commented on that. And so I will at times, if you know, if you really are dead set, you want some of these and you can't find them, I mean, it's simple to do. I can't do it right now because the device I'm using to make this video is the device I got to get on to go and put that, but I can put it in the comments. But they're pretty simple to find once you get on there and start navigating. But I understand because trust me, I've done it too. I've literally, you guys can't share anything in the comments of a link. It just won't allow it. And I don't know if there's a way for to go in it's kind of for my advantage to keep people from like, you know, spam stuff on my channel kind of deal. And I've had people send me put the exact names to type in the search and I just couldn't find it. And a lot of times it's because it's like they just don't ship to me kind of thing. They ship to them in Canada or so, I forget. But so anyway, it can be tough navigating AliExpress, but that's part of the reason why it's one of those things it's worth learning how to do and then doing your own searching on there too, because you come across stuff that you're like, wow, I'll get that and try it, and you're like, oh, that thing's, you know, awesome. Or you spend $1.50 and it sucks, but oh well, you spent $1.50. Still to date, other than the Jackie Hammer and these Nobi chatterbaits, probably the favorite thing I've ever found on AliExpress. But the next best thing that is just amazes me that they sold them so cheap are, because none of the they sell a lot of cheap swim baits, but none of the others even compare to just how the confidence I have in these that actually catch fish, and they're so dirt cheap on AliExpress. Now this is nowhere near talking about chatterbait knockoffs. And I've like trimmed some up and I've even melted the tail on one. I got to find out I bought the tails. You can even find the tails on their packages of them cheap. But I want to say these are still like $2.50, $3, $3.50, under $5 for very good. Now I cut this so it chopped more, whatever, but I think this is it. Is this the exact color? Yeah, I've got two of them. Just one's like original, not cut. And then I cut the other one. I just took my Dremel and just... I need to track down them tails. I want to put a different color tail on this one. So, probably there's a video out like 3 years ago now, maybe. When I first got I just bought a couple. I'm like, I'll try them, man. I thought for $2.50 is like what I gave for them. Like, man, they got to be junk. And they're not awesome. Probably the Megabass, I'm sure, swims a little better than these. But man, once you kind of swim them, you know, cast out to where you can watch them and see them what they're doing and get a cadence down, figure out how they go, and then it's like game on, man. They will flat out catch fish, and they're dirt cheap, and they're easy to cast. Like you can cast these. I think I was throwing it on an 802. And then I want to say to prove to myself I could do it, I was throwing it like on my Cunning Teton 6'6", you know, so a light BFS rod. You know, just yank hard like you would on because I even caught fish on a big size whopper plopper. But anyway, that's probably like the best deal. And then the chatterbaits. Some of the Meredith baits are a good deal too. You guys know what I'm talking about. These dudes, you can go on there and buy like a 50 count for a certain price, but I like that color. And their plastic does hold up pretty good. These Meredith. I forget what they call these. Just another one, you just type in swim bait. And I think they even mentioned they don't on the packaging, but they'll say on the thing like swing impact fat. And these are their S07, I think is the color. Anyway, awesome baits. You can even get the big batty boy swim bait. All right, well, Fireball is about dried up. Oh no! Oh gosh! Goodness gracious, my ice is melted. Time to wrap it up. Frank found them. All right, yeah, that's what it just. You can find them, but you also, if you find them, search around, because I did find that they're listed several places, and some are $7.50, some are $6.07. Like there, you can find them, and then double check shipping. And then what I do is I put them in my cart. I'll put like 2 of each, whatever I'm going to buy. I'll put 1 or 2 or 3, because some of them's like over $10 is free shipping. And I'll put them in my cart from this store, in my cart, from this store. Then I'll go to the shopping cart and I'll click the 2 and just see what the price says. And a lot of times I'll even go to like pay just to make sure nothing changed. And then I'll go back. You can always hit the back button. And then you'd be surprised sometimes you just do that in one store, even though you may think it's close, maybe a couple dollars off one way or the other. And it's a good idea just to, not just go in there and start clicking stuff and then like buy it. And then you're like, oh dude, I didn't realize that was, I could have saved $5 if I'd have went that way through that store or something. So I usually do that on everything I buy. I'm kind of like that. I'll fill up my cart with like $1,200 worth of stuff, and then you click all and it turns them all on. And then you click all again, it shuts them all off. And then I go through there from one store, click that stuff, and then go through the other one and see, what's the cheapest option, and then just buy it. Because I don't know why, but every once in a while, I don't know if it's a glitch in their system, it'll say a price and you click it and it just drops the price by like $5. And I don't know if it's because I had a coupon somewhere that I didn't know about through that store or whatever, but it's just, I don't know. I've been on AliExpress long enough. Maybe I've got some accumulated I didn't even know about, kind of thing. So it's worthwhile just to check from a few different stores anyway. So yeah, I got to get on Tackle Warehouse and figure out what's going on. I got I can't remember the name of the color, but that brighter green color I had ordered a few weeks ago, and it shows it available. So I thought they would have sent it when they sent this order, because I got this one and I got the orange ones, but because I ordered these showed back ordered. When I placed the order, they showed back order. It took them 3 days just to ship it. So they must have came in and they added this to the order, but the ones that were on back order from before, they didn't. So I don't know, and I haven't gotten any messages that they're sending them. But I'm tempted to jump on there, and because I do like this color, tempted to jump on there and order another pack of these, another pack of the green ones, just so I'll have them before they sell out, because I'm pretty confident I'll like the way these fish, and the rubber seems fairly decent plastic. Anyway, I'm out of here, guys. We can't end now. It's almost 2 hours in. We literally have a minute and a half to go. We've gone well over 2 hours. Well, we're no Joe Rogan. We don't do 3-hour videos, but we do pretty long videos. I don't even know what we're talking about sometimes. Like, I wake up the next day and like, what in the world were those guys making me talk about, right? Let's talk about this right now then. Then that last minute or so to go. I don't even know which one of these. I don't remember which one, if I liked one over the other. I want to say I liked this one just because it's got the kickers and it's more color, right, than just these funky brown things. Now, I may at some point not even run any of that. This thing has no kind of a hook keeper. What's funny is this Elastec, usually just on a thing, it's so sticky. Once you put it on, it's like not going anywhere. So these were made to run. I've taken it all the way up. No, they weren't made to run, because you put that thing on all the way up. Well, maybe it was. I don't know. I'll figure out which one I want to put on first. Probably start with that dude. It's got the white. Yeah, I'll probably start with that. But this honestly be, I'll probably do the thread deal, right? You know, take some thread, wrap it around there, super glue it on. But this would be another, probably a decent option for like that color right there. Just rig it up to where it sticks out just past. Now I'll probably want to trim up that just a little bit, but rig that Rage Menace where it sticks on just past that. Killer little bait. But while I got the Elastec, might as well use them. But if we can manage to keep the bait before it totally, we lose it kind of deal. Different color option. I'm anxious to get this dude out too and just throw it around, see what it does, period. All right, there it is. 2 hours. Thanks for watching. Sink to pink. I got to go. Get out of here. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Go bass and bonsai, but whatever you do, wherever you end up, make sure you're having fun doing whatever you're doing.